there's so many, it's a giant rabbit hole, but it's good to know at least some of these things. Virtually everything is pagan. So many words from our language, which comes from whatever, a mixing of Latin and whatever else, are pagan. The church fathers, a few years back, looking into the history and stuff, I didn't see it as clearly, but virtually all of them, the ones that are praised, the church fathers, were all pagan. Clement, Origen, Tertullian, or all these famous church father names, they were all pagans. They all believed in the sun worship. If they didn't outright, they still faced the east in sun worship, basically. But maybe a couple of them would have said on different grounds, then it's okay to do it. They were all taken over by sun worship. Crazy. It's crazy. Apollo, Apollo, the word, NASA, Apollo 11, 9, whatever it is, different Apollos. Apollo means it's a sun deity. It's sun worship. It's a sun god, Elohim. And the book Come Out of Her, My People is great for learning these things, but you can see the history. If you dig for it, you can find out these things. All of these church fathers called him the true sun, S-U-N, sun deity, and Christ Helios, or Christos Helios. The name's pagan. Everything about it's pagan. They turned him into a pagan, and they started that way back in the 300s, possibly somewhere there, and later got worse, 400, 500, with the halo and the sun around the head. All of that's pagan. Yeah, that's Christianity, all right. That's where it comes from. 100% pagan. It's all about sun deity worship. The sun, one must venerate you as the first of the gods. Through you we are capable of looking at the other gods. Solarization became even worse in the 5th century. The Messiah was not only called the true sun, S-U-N, but also the true Apollo, the age-old sun deity of the Greeks. Other paintings and pictures followed, as well as statues and images of our Messiah with sun rays or a nimbus sun disk around his head. A great number of these illustrations to be found in ecclesiastical books. Inborn heathen custom of sun worship, and because of anti-Judaism, anti-Hebrew, anything, is what all those church fathers were. The Gentiles who became Christians in a nominal way were easily persuaded to accept the true sun, S-U-N, the Son of Righteousness, Christ Helios, the true Apollo. Emperor Constantine was the one who put an end to the enmity between Frank sun worship and the messianic belief. For many years it remained quite obvious that Frank sun worship was being adapted to Christianity. The remarks and concern by Tertullian, Pope Leo the Great, Eusebius, and also by Cyril of Jerusalem testify to this. Cyril contended against this in 348. Let the heresy be silenced which blasphemes the Messiah, the Son of the Mighty One. Let those be silenced who say the Son is Messiah, S-U-N, and not the visible Son itself. Augustine, who himself previously had been a scholar of Gnostic sect. Most of these were all Gnostics too. They believed in the deity, the sun deity, an incarnation. That's how all these pagan beliefs overtook them and became, ever since, those doctrines were handed down. These lies that he was not born in the flesh according to the flesh, but from divinity. Gnostics. like literally, coexisting, co-eternal. The man, Christ Helios, created all things, they say. Sunday as a mutual feast day for the heathen and for the Christians. Christians and Manichaeans of the territory of the empire thus had a mutual feast day, Sunday, in the sign of Sol Helios that excluded them from the Jews. Therefore, because they wanted to be excluded from the covenant people, Israel, they rejected the sign of the eternal covenant, the Sabbath. Elohim emphatically declared this to be the sign of the eternal covenant. Eternal has no beginning. It's age-lasting covenant, of which goes on. In this case, it wasn't cut off. All the commandments and all his words went on. The change was that it's a better covenant, and somewhere it calls it covenants of the covenants, plural. But that word is not eternal, because eternal has no beginning, and the covenants had a beginning. So do we believe Yahuwah when he said that his covenant is eternal forever? Yeah, they wrongfully use that word forever, unfortunately. It is age-lasting, it's enduring, it's not cut off or done away with. But these words are false words. Then you end up with everlasting shame and contempt. No end to shame and contempt and punishment. Has nothing to do with his mercy enduring forever, does it? So it's all messed up. We cannot keep some of the commandments and not all 10 of them. James, our Messiah, commands us to keep the Father's commandments. I'm not sure if the writer of this book acknowledges all the commandments or just 10. So I suppose if you only keep 10, then you can do all kinds of nasty stuff, because 10 commandments doesn't really cover everything, does it? But I'm not sure what he thinks. But anyways, it's all pagan. This world is pagan. Everything about it is pagan. The church fathers were pagan. They were pagan Gnostics and sun worshippers, and they mixed in all these pagan things. And ever since then, it's been pagan. The holidays, everything about it is hardcore pagan. Has nothing to do with anything. In Zechariah, it's not a very long book. There's only, I don't think that one's very long. Let me see. There's 14 chapters. Talks about the branch, and speak unto them, saying, Thus speaketh Yahuwah of hosts, saying, Behold, the man whose name is the branch, and he shall grow up out of his place, and he shall build the temple of Yahuwah, even he shall build the temple of Yahuwah, and he shall bear the glory, and shall sit and rule upon his throne. And he shall be a priest upon his throne, and the council of peace shall be between them both. And the crowns shall be to Helam, and to Tobiah, and to Jediah, and to Han the son of Zephaniah, for a memorial in the temple of Yahuwah. And they that are far off shall come and build in the temple of Yahuwah, and he shall know that the Yahuwah of hosts hath sent me unto you. And this shall come to pass, if ye will diligently obey the voice of Yahuwah your Elohim. This will come to pass if you obey the voice of the Creator, the Father. So that's one interesting verse on prophecy. These things will come to pass and start being fulfilled in the fullness of it, if ye diligently. So the Messiah can't come back until that happens, when the people start obeying as a whole, his people, not just like a few here or there, but apparently a certain number of people as a group, as a whole, as the church, the body, is believing. So the last 2,000 years, it's just been a handful of people scattered, but when they start waking up and doing what's right and not breaking commandments, then those things will come to pass, because it says, if ye diligently will obey and do these things. Well, the time can't be too far from now, can it? It's going to be pretty deceiving. It's all deception. It always was deception, but it's just deception from here on out. It can't be too far out, because people are waking up to this, and it's spreading. The lies of Christianity, it's being exposed by quite a few people, that the commandments didn't go away more than any other generation. So that's a pretty strong sign, isn't it? Who knows? I'm not sure anyone has the tribulation really figured out, because if it's one long tribulation, as it seems like it can very well be, the tribulation started, specifically Jacob's trouble, in 70 AD, and it's been nothing but tribulation for his true people. In this case, race doesn't matter, whoever his true people are, but it's especially been tribulation for his original covenant people ever since then. And when his people as a whole start waking up, then that must be pretty close. So what if it's not going to be what people say it's going to be necessarily? I don't know that I can say for sure myself exactly how it'll go down, but what if everyone's expecting something obvious, crazy wars and mark of the beast and chips implanted in your heads, and it's not coming? I'm just saying, if you look at the tribulation as a long time period, then he could come at any point. Many would have thought World War I, this is it, or World War II, this is it. And that was some horrible times. But maybe there will be a World War III and horrible times still as some kind of sign. But there is a generation that will see, I guess, all the things, all the signs. So that maybe it does make sense that there'll still be great chaos in the last generation. But something about it has to be more deceiving than the way people are teaching it, though. Because the way that people teach this mark of the beast, end time stuff, it's going to be super obvious, and don't take the chip, everyone's going to know about it. I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. Unless the delusion is so strong that even the people teaching that, most of them will fall for whatever's coming. Could be. It's already amazing what the whole world is blinded in, what we've been blinded in. Can't even get through to people that a day starts in the morning. I keep bringing that up because of how simple that truth is and how many verses show And nature itself, it just makes sense. It's logical. Day starts in the morning, daylight. The whole world doesn't know. So maybe the deception is it'll just be crazier than I even think. The delusions. But the people, the remnant are waking up though. So I don't know that there's much time left. I think we need to see more things happen still. But it can't be that far, because at some point the true believers as a whole, whoever they are, the remnant, will be doing what's right, and then that triggers his coming. Not that he's not sovereign, like, oh, it's because but for our benefit, he's the sovereign. He's the one waking people up. Otherwise we would never come to any kind of truth. He's the one pouring the Spirit out. But at the same time, that has to happen still. It still has to happen. If ye diligently obey the voice of Yahweh or your Elohim. It says if you do that, they that are far off shall come build a temple. All these things will come to pass. This shall come to pass if you do that. Yeah, so I think it's going to be more deceiving than people think, obviously. I'm not sure it's ever going to come down to a chip or something crazy like that, but who knows? Maybe the delusion will be that strong. Everyone's going to fall for it. At the end of the day, when the pressure is on to survive and want to go along to get along in this world, no tribulation, no persecution for me, maybe they will all fall for it. The very people who are teaching all these things. If they don't believe in the true Messiah, well, then they're antichrist, anti-Messiah. So they will fall for it as long as that they're anti-Messiah. That's why it's a pretty evil, horrible teaching to teach that he fell from the sky, and he's half God, half Elohim, half man, divinity. Moses wasn't that. Moses was a man, born in the flesh, according to the flesh. That's what that means, natural way. And he was a type of mediator, type of Messiah, prophet, mediator. Then the greatest mediator, prophet came, but it had to go along the pattern of the type. It's not going to be radically different than the type. The Passover and his days, on which day of the month and all these things, it went according to the pattern. He died on the 14th, just like that lamb. It wasn't something radically different, was it? They waved the sheaf offering, the first fruits, on the 16th. So that's your scriptural 3 days. The 14th counts as the day, the 15th is the day, and then he rose again on the third day, not after like a whole, but on. So it's not literally 3 days and 3 nights. And if you look, you won't find any scripture that says he's literally going to be in the grave, in a tomb for 3 days and 3 nights. He said he'll be in the heart of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights. Obviously this couldn't have been literal, because the pattern doesn't allow for a literal 3 days and 3 nights in the grave. The pattern itself. The lamb was killed on the 14th during the daylight still. And so then Messiah also was the first evening, somewhere around our 1 o'clock or afternoon, 2, 1. And then a few hours passed, and then, the same pattern. And then the wave, if you look in Leviticus or wherever it is, the wave sheaf, the waving of the offering, the first fruits, is on the 16th. That would be the type. That's Messiah, the first fruit, rising again on the 16th day of the month, which has nothing to do, and if you look into these things, dying on Friday, resurrecting on Sunday has nothing to do with anything. He didn't die on Friday or Wednesday, or there was no Friday or Wednesday or any of this on the true calendar. It's the 14th day of the month, and he was resurrected on the 16th day. That's the only way it could happen, according to his calendar. No matter what people try to do, as I've looked into this and found to be true, trying to go backwards with this calendar doesn't work. It doesn't work. Because it's a certain day of the month, and certain dates of the month fall all over the place on the Gregorian calendar. You're never going to get a consistent 14, 15, 16 from year to year. It doesn't work. It's based on the new moon as the first day of the month. That's it. There's new moon days, there's work days, there's Sabbath. Three days, not two. And that's the only way it could be. And it wasn't a giant coincidence of certain feast days falling like right after, what days are it? Is it the trumpets? The 7 days and the 8th last great, certain things lined up perfectly during Messiah's time and death and resurrection and all of that afterwards. That wasn't just a giant accident, like, the Sabbath just happened to time up perfectly. No, it's like that every year. It never changes on the true calendar. Those certain days always fall. If one day comes right after another, next year on the same day of the month, it's going to fall exactly the same way over and over again. Just like Passover always falls on the 14th day of the first month, over and over again, never changes. It's a fixed calendar that's based on new moon, if you will. It's not a fixed calendar, but the days are fixed on the months. They're the fixed days of the months, but the calendar is not fixed. It's based off the heavens telling you when a new month or new moon is. Which for me, the best evidence I've found for that is the full moon, because he doesn't do anything with mixing light and darkness. That's for sure. No mixing of a little bit of a light sliver and mostly darkness, or a new moon, renewed, is total darkness, just conjunction. You can't even see it. It sets right when the sun, that's not a sign. It's darkness. It's not renewed. Renewed is when it's full again, full of light. And the evidence shows that when they went on their exodus, and it's lawful to be freed, even if they did it during the daylight part of the 15th, but I'm not sure they even did that. It was probably on the second evening at sunset, I think, when they went out, but it was the 15th. But anyways, carrying your bed and walking, being healed and carrying and walking back is not breaking, being freed from bondage is not a sin on the Sabbath day. So even if they did walk during the daylight, wouldn't have been a sin. They would have been doing work in Egypt on the Sabbath day anyways, like they were over and over again, working on the Sabbath. So being freed from bondage, liberated on an exodus, wouldn't have been a sin. That's a good thing. That's a good work. That's something good, and it's lawful to do good. it's lawful to be healed or walk out of um, slavery. I think that's it for this one. Everything is pagan. Apollo, it's all a joke. The Apollo mission to the moon, total joke. It's just Babylon trying to go to heaven again and pretending. Instead of building a tower, they built a rocket and faked it. And this pointy little rocket, this wiener, went straight up, and came back down and landed in the ocean. That's all that happened. Just a great smoke and mirrors show. Just a great entertainment show. Tricked the whole world. Nobody ever landed and put a flag on the moon. It's crazy. It's insane. Traveling, how fast do rockets supposedly travel? There's thousands of miles per hour. Like somebody's up in there going, we're going to the moon. It's so stupid. You got to stop believing that if you still believe that. Nobody's ever touched the heavens. Nobody can go that high. It's a joke that they have went, even though the heavens are local, they haven't been up there on some moon, and now they're going to go to, what is it, Mars? Trump said something about the next mission. We'll land a woman on Mars or something. It's insanity. It's not happening. I don't even believe you can land on such celestial objects. I'm not 100% sure what it's made out of, but I don't even think you can. Well, they can't even go that high anyways, because the moon, sun, and stars are within the firmament, like Genesis says, and they can't go past the firmament. If they have gotten rockets up that high, then like they claim, they put cracks in the glass ceiling. That's as high as they could go. Nobody's ever landed on some moon, and no one's going to land on the stars. It's hard for people to believe that, everything is pagan. These NASA are a bunch of pagans. They're sun worshippers also, because Apollo is a sun deity. It's a Greek sun deity. Look it up. And there's a lot of words I probably don't even know that are pagan, just used in our language, all the time. So it's all messed up. It's funny, somebody I know that tried to get the truth out to him, but I only read a tiny bit of it, but he gave me a book, and I said, okay, I'll take it, no worries. But and this guy is a date setter. Thank you, Train. Yeah, Jesus Christ is coming back on earth exactly 2,000 years after the year of his death. He claims he died in 28 AD. So 2028, maybe some of these things are close and it could be that soon, but somebody's setting a date, man, and selling books. You can't undo that. What if you're wrong just a little bit? Well, and it's a lie. And now you've sold thousands and thousands of books, and it's a lie. That's what I don't like about it. And there might be some interesting things in the book, but he's got a globe Earth right on the front page. That's a lie. So yeah, I don't want to be responsible for selling a bunch of books that you can't take back, and there's lies in there, and the front page is a lie because the Earth is that's not a picture. That's the blue marble there that I'm looking at, and it's a composite, like NASA even admits. No one's ever taken a picture from space about the ball Earth. Like, there it is. There's our home. Isn't that amazing? Way up in space. It's so crazy. Just think about it. It's insanity. But it's such a giant lie that, most people fell for it. I guess the age-old classic, Hitler thing, whatever. It's true, even if it is wore out a little bit. He did fool most of the people. Now, not everyone was fooled, but you wouldn't have really heard about these people for the most part because the masses, just triumphed. And so they believed he was going to do great things and all this stuff, and it was just enough. And there's some people that say the history is not even true on that too, but I'm not 100% sure. There was bad times, and I'm pretty sure about that, but like they say some of it was exaggerated or made up. I don't know. But either way, it was nothing but chaos, nothing good. It's ugly. This world is ugly. The world leaders, they're all connected. They're not, I don't believe I'm not sure how many nations are sovereign, you know what I mean? Like truly their own, that aren't persuaded or being blackmailed somehow or whatever. There might be some, and maybe that's what's going to cause war again, but nations not wanting to succumb to whatever we want them to do. I don't know. Maybe there is a few of them. I can't ever know for sure everything, that's because there's so much theories and propaganda that the media pumps out. You don't know exactly. You would have to have all the information accurately, and then you can look at all of it, but nobody gets to have all the information knowing that all of it's true, and then you can divide and see what's going on. It's all messed up. So we can get close, though. I think we can have a good idea. I don't think it's far off to say that all the nations, the leaders, are all evil for most of these countries. So, I think that book, he says undeniable biblical proof, but those are some hardcore claims, and I believe he's going to end up, he's already a false prophet. He's going to end up being a false prophet, most likely, I mean, I suppose maybe someone could guess the day and accidentally be right, or the year, but to do that is, I think that's pretty dumb. Shouldn't be doing that. It gets people, it's some kind of foul spirit, because they're not, the people, most of them that are jumping up and down, come Lord Jesus, they're not spiritually in the right mind anyways. It would be a bad thing for him to come right now, is what I'm saying. But they just don't see that. But I don't know if I'll read it. I'm not sure if I'll read all of it, I don't know. Once I see some wrong things that I know of that are wrong, then it just kind of discourages me to read all of the rest. Like I see a globe thing on there. He's also traditional, torture people forever. That's who our creator is. And I usually have a hard time looking into anything else once that's taught by somebody. That's just me, If someone else can do it, I guess that's you. But I know how big of a lie that is. So according to Zechariah there on chapter 6, towards the end of the chapter, it says these things will come to place, or come to pass. The building of the temple, the branch, the building of the temple. It sounds like that's talking about his coming. It says these things will come to pass if you diligently obey the voice of, Yahuwah, your Elohim. And I've already said it, but people are waking up, and they're exposing lies left and right. So it can't be, the storm before the calm, I guess, or it can't be too far. So I don't know exactly how far, but it must not be like 50 year 100 years, I don't think so. There might be something to 2000 years after his death. There could be something to that, some prophecies that might hint that, uh, but I don't. Most people don't even doing your research. 28 AD. I'm pretty sure it's 31. That's what I believe. Some say 30, some say 33, but very few, and there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of evidence for 28 AD. So I don't see that number very often. I think 30 and 33 are pretty common, but I've looked into that and I don't know for sure, but 31, I think it was 31, but I don't know for sure. I'm pretty sure it wasn't 28. So if that's true, then that book's a lie no matter what, because 2,000 years exactly is 2028. And if you didn't die in 2028, well, it's wrong. So date setters, they shouldn't be doing that. They shouldn't really be listened to, but just focus on your own life. Don't worry about the exact date constantly or something like this. And I think that's all I got. The amount of paganism, the more research I do on the church fathers, it's pretty disappointing that that's our actual history, that most of these church fathers were pagan. Or even if they had a little bit of truth in them, they compromised, is what it sounds like most of them did anyways. They compromised and allowed it to be. And that's what the Catholic Church dominated. And then out of her came Protestants, and they kept most of these doctrines. That's what they can't see. They kept most of them. They kept most of the, people talk about anti-Semitic, but they kept that spirit, man. All the church denominations, they're anti-Semitic. Even, we support Israel. Yeah, but you hate the true way. You're anti-Hebrew. You're anti-Semitic, if you can call it that. And that's how it's been ever since. These people, everything they did was to attack whatever was true. That's all. And they did it. And they snuffed out the true believers. And now they're waking up. So what do you think is going to happen to the world, in my opinion, that now people can see this? Exposing some of these major lies. What do you think is going to happen? The only thing I can see happening is major chaos because of this. If not for anything else, it's for that. For truth being spread out, and exposing everything, pretty much everything. The whole world, the history, the governments, the churches, the religions, everything is being exposed and proven with scripture. So I don't think that's not going to be exactly a free ride. It's not going to be, maybe some people, I don't know what they're thinking, but it's not going to be like smooth forever, from here on out. Something's going to have to be done to shut up the truth, because they've always done that in the past. I don't know what will trigger some of this madness, but I don't know. I get a strong feeling with Trump. I think, after he wins, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I just get a strong sense that he's going to, be a part of, not that he's the one man in the world that causes all things, but he's going to be a part of this war, this breakout. It'll probably start in the Middle East, because it's been chaos there for 2,000 years. It's not going to end. So the peace that which you can look up and research that if you haven't. some of the things Trump is doing, has done recently, and is continuing to do. You could read some articles on the peace, specifically like Israel and like surrounding, they're working out these deals, of which I think most, they rightly say that that's part of some kind of prophecy, the peace thing. We're going to finally have peace in this area, true peace. There probably will be some sort of short-lived peace, or what looks like everything's going to go fine for a while, and then it's just going to go straight to hell, I'm pretty sure that's what Paul's talking about. But even spiritually in the church buildings, when they say peace, the false prophets always proclaim peace, and there's never peace. But specifically his coming, there's going to be some kind of peace, And when they say peace, sudden destruction comes. It's pretty simple. Comes like a thief in the night. I suppose when it actually happens, then it's pretty much game over for everyone, It's just going to be chaos from there. I don't know what else to say about that. I'm not too well versed with some of these verses in Daniel, the king of the north and south and some of these things, but what I'm pretty sure is that it's all based off the location, somewhere around Jerusalem. It's north or south from there. But I think people here, at least in the United States of good old America, sort of think that even if something bad happens, they're going to be bypassed from it. I don't think so. Maybe for a short time, maybe right at the beginning, but I don't think anyone's going to be spared, or any country, is going to be spared. I don't see it coming. And if the harlot is judged, like Revelation says, there's a judgment coming to her eventually, like a major judgment, where her light does not shine anymore, her so-called light. What if that light in you is darkness? How great that darkness, that's who she is. That her lamp won't shine anymore. That just reminds me of another proof against the full preterist. I said in that video, I only not even got into a quarter of the contradictions and proofs, and a lot of the things I just couldn't think of anyways, but that's another one right there. That prophecy says her lamp won't shine anymore. There's not going to be a confusing powerful religions, they're all connected, but that deceives all the earth and all the kings of the earth, and fornication, spiritual fornication, that's all that's been happening the last 2,000 years. So they call him a liar because, it got fulfilled in 70 AD. Messiah came back. The lamp must have been snuffed out, judged, no more. What do you get with that? How do you explain that? You can't. Impossible. Nothing but deception from the Roman Catholic Church, starting way back then and all the way till now. Her so-called lamp, which isn't good, is still shining. So that supposedly ended in 70 AD, and this is the new heavens and earth where righteousness dwells. They're so out of their mind blind, I feel sorry for them, but I don't feel as sorry for the ones that actually are the major teachers of it, because they know. They willfully put aside the contradictions. They know the problems. People aren't that stupid, but then they get blinded and they literally believe their own lies. That's what happens. The people being deceived are usually, most of them are genuinely deceived, but the teachers, at least in the beginning, they know they're lying. They know there's contradictions and that they blaspheme and make up heresies left and right. But then they just keep on going because all they care about is money and fame and riches and selling books and people writing comments and letters about how great you are, man. You're the pioneer of this doctrine and all this stuff, you know. I've watched a few of that guy's videos, but I don't touch it, you know, for the sake of learning and trying to figure out what's going on. That's what I spent time with a while back. And then my mind was opened up to all the contradictions. Then I could see how crafty and snakish all this teaching really is. But in the beginning, like, I didn't have the right answers, and I was going, man, is this true? But I knew something was wrong with him. Like, the spirit was just saying, this is no good. This is foul. And sure enough, it was fouler than I thought. I was going to do a video that says, beware of bookshelves. Now I'm going to leave room for, I always leave room for a few, but from what I've seen, my discernment, you see a teacher with a big giant bookshelf behind them, and that's where they make their video, you know, 90-something% of the time they're automatically false and they're false prophets. The bookshelf thing is just obvious to me. It's a huge problem. Now, you know, this may not be true for everyone, but I'm just saying I feel confident about saying the majority. Majority of people on YouTube, teachers and stuff with bookshelves behind them, John Preston is one of them. They're false prophets. And they want to show you how knowledgeable they are with extra books, you know, besides the scriptures. And I'm not against like reading an extra book here and there, but you know, they go out of their way to look at all the books I've read. And it blinds them. And we even have a scripture that I think is a valid warning of beware of all the books that can be made or read. You know, these books must be referring to anything other besides the scriptures, because there is no warning about, oh, you're reading the scriptures too much, you're getting deceived. You know, it's talking about other books people make. And you know, this is one of them. You can get people get sucked into, man, and they start believing things that aren't really, you know, they don't care about being ready for the king to come. It's just like excitement in their mind, doctrine. You know, most of these people, this is my guess, my best discernment, that if you could put them in the dark room and nobody knows about it, no one knows, no one truly knows, and you can press the button, the king comes today, press the button. Most of these people jumping out, Lord Jesus, come, you know, I think most of them, vast majority of them, would walk out of that room and pretend, you know, I ain't pressing that button. No, I still love my life and love this world and everything in it. What do you think? You think I'm way off on that? I'm pretty sure the majority of them would not press the button. You know, because I'm not even sure I would press the button. I always feel like there's work to be done, you know, so there's always something to improve or learn. So I don't even think I would press the button, not because, you know, I'm just being honest. Not because I, you know, love this world, but that's what I'm saying. Even if somebody's in the truth that's not ready to press the button, how much more somebody that still loves this world? So I have a hard time believing that people would actually do that, but I don't know. That was just a thought that came to me a while back. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think most people would push the button. You know, nobody knows about it. No pressure. You just walk out. Nothing ever happened. Just another day. They could have sent the king to come, and they didn't press the button. You know, I know it's kind of silly, but that's what I believe. I think so. I think the teachers of some of these false doctrines wouldn't do it either. because they still have yet more books to sell and they have more people to deceive that are enjoying it. It sounds absolutely insane. Most people can't hear this. No, he's genuine. No, he's not genuine. He's enjoying deceiving people. That's what the scriptures say. They enjoy their own unrighteousness. They take glee in it. I can't remember some of the verses or where they're at. They take pleasure in their wickedness. They like it. Human nature likes it. And a lot of people that seem they're of the truth, they are pretty much in agreement with some of these tithings and selling and making money, Seems to me the people that are of the truth, they all are in agreement. Like, that's a very fine line. Most of the people doing that, they're corrupted. It's not that no one can ever sell a book. I don't think that's what, I think someone could do it with true intentions, but that's a fine line. And most people don't even have that in mind. They literally get caught up in, man, if I 500 last week, let's try to get 15, and that's the intention. That's it, just to sell books, make money. In the meantime, they're deceived and they actually start believing their own lies. That's why they're so good and convincing. And every now and then, it's such a huge blunder. It's like, here, laugh at this, the Father says. Have a good laugh at this. Enjoy what I've done. When you got a guy sitting like this and some other guy behind a pulpit, a futurist trying to combat preterism, says, so you believe the devil has been destroyed? He looks a little bit like this and goes, yes, I believe the devil has been destroyed and is finished and is abolished. I couldn't breathe for a few seconds. Then they don't have any answer to why evil still exists, because if evil is only from the devil and the evil powers that be, then what on earth is going on? Because shouldn't there be at least a little bit of a change, 50%, 40, 30%, but instead it's just waxing worse. What on earth is that? So they pervert the whole gospel. Everything. There's nothing they don't pervert. Victory over sin and death, crushing the serpents, it means nothing, because if this is victory, man, if this is victory, then I guess I got nothing else to say. This is victory. A bunch of deception and evil going around, nobody wanting to hear the truth. That's victory. That's the definition of death being abolished and destroyed, and conquering and restoration of all things. He must remain in heaven until the time of the restoration of all things. These things happened in 70 AD, a giant destruction. Jerusalem was wiped out, and you call that victory for his people? Man, you got to be blind, It just got worse and worse from 30 AD to 70 AD. The persecution, there was bad times. They do get that right. They do get that part right. That's why it's deceiving. That was just the beginning of the trouble, man. That was just the beginning of a long period of time where ultimately his people as a whole, a certain amount of number, I don't know that anyone knows for sure. Some say 144,000, but I don't know. I don't have that. I'm not confident enough to, but there is a certain amount of number, and then they start doing what's right. They keep his commandments. They do what's right. Then he comes, and until then, it's been a giant, massive trouble for his people. And they say that was right there, man. He came back in power, and those who were standing there were changed in a moment, twinkling of an eye. You see how damaging that is, man? I mean, what doesn't it damage? What doesn't it damage? I guess there was a false group of people that said the resurrection was already going to come. But you start piecing some of these pieces together. There's a verse where, if you look at the Greek, most translations don't get it quite right, but where Paul says, "Let there be glory to the ecclesia, to the assembly for the age of ages." It should be something like that instead of world without end. That's a weird translation. It's not world without end. It's like aeon to aeon, or age to the age of ages, or something like that. It sounds like, to me, the best I can understand that verse is Paul knew there would still be a long period of time. That, you know, that the one true church is throughout time being built. When you get that down in the Greek, you know, to the age of, usually that's a period of time within the ages. It's usually a longer period of time. I'm pretty sure Paul knew it wasn't going to be his generation, you know, but some of these things are prophecy. You know, when he says we shall not all sleep, he's not literally talking about the people he was talking to. Just like I gave an example, Moses wasn't literally talking to, and you can find out through scripture that the Father does this quite often when he says, "I will heal you," but it's like 150 years later. It's his people, but those people suffered and they didn't get to see it, you know, or "I won't leave you forever," and all these prophecies. A lot of these things happen decades, hundreds of years later. It's not talking to that little group right there. If it's determined that Israel's being scattered and the 10 tribes are, you know, for them that was no good. But he says to them, and the prophets say to them, you know, I'll restore you all, you know, I don't have all the verses, but it didn't happen to, you know, you can find a lot of examples of this. He speaks to the people, as a whole, like the line of people, generations, the line of believers. So in Zechariah there, talking about the branch building the temple, it sounds like this is like his coming possibly there. It says these things will come if you diligently, you know, but what about all the ages and hundreds of years since that prophecy was written? Well, something must have not been, you know, it must have not happened exactly how the Father has determined it to happen, because he said, if you do this, this is going to happen, but it just didn't happen. There was never a set amount of believers that were in the truth, you know, not deceived, not breaking commandments, breaking his laws, breaking all these things. Jealous, prideful, hatred, all these, you know, partiality, all this stuff. And it seems like this generation is, I mean, if it isn't close, I don't know what is, because that's what I see. And the technology, it's all perfectly timed, isn't it? Like YouTube didn't even exist till 06 or late 05. I remember when it came out, that was like, now it's just like, oh yeah, YouTube. That was a huge thing back then. And now you can use all this technology to spread truth around the world without going around the world physically. And people are waking up, you know, by the thousands. I'm not going to say by the millions, but a few thousand at least. So I think it's close. And Jerusalem, you know, I think it's a sign, Jerusalem coming back, even though I don't believe those people are that 6-day war thing. I went through that in one of my videos. There's no blessings or promising of giving a land back to his true people or original covenant people by breaking commandments and sinning, which is what those people, whoever they are, that's exactly what they did. They didn't believe in, you know, they got their oral traditions, Talmud, they're all mixed up. Most of them don't believe the Messiah was the son of the Father, you know, he was just a normal man, maybe a prophet, but he wasn't the promised one to come. They don't believe that, most of them. I think most people say that they're still waiting for his first coming or something like that. But these people they weren't righteous. So then we're supposed to believe that he gave these people as a whole their land back. And every single thing they did was basically wrong. And, there is no kill people now. It's, love your enemies. So they came in and killed a bunch of people, and there was wars and killing and murdering. Does that sound like somebody that's a group of people that are obedient and that's why they got their land back? I don't think so. I brought that up to one of my cousins from Ohio when he was here. I brought it up and he was like stunned. I just gave him some examples about destruction, punishment, being scattered, and if they keep the commandments and listen to the prophets, then he'll bring them back, then he'll bless them, and if they don't, then cursings. I bring that up and said, these people, whoever they are, what did they do? They didn't do that. And I said, how is it that that would make the Father a liar? And he's just sitting there going, yeah, I don't know. They've never even heard it in their life. That's how deceived the whole entire church world is about who these people are. It never even crossed their minds that, hello, he doesn't change. Father doesn't change. He's not going to bless people that don't keep his way, that don't follow the Messiah, don't believe in the Messiah to start with, don't believe that he was the one back then, not somebody else coming in the future, And I think that because of that belief for them and Christianity's belief about who these people are, I could be off on this, but I think there is going to be some man that the whole world's going to fall for and believe is the one who came, the false Messiah. That would seem to me to be the grand delusion. Maybe not, but I'm pretty, the scriptures talk about some man calling himself God, Elohim, and he's going to be above all the other so-called Elohims. He's not going to be like the other ones. There's something off about this guy because he says he is God himself in the flesh. And he's going to be, in Daniel, he's taken out without any help, which Paul translates that. The coming of the true king is just going to wipe out all evil. He's not going to be, there won't be any help. He's not going to be taken out by soldiers or people. Sounds like that's what needs to happen first, which is I still have a hard time believing that the whole world's going to fall for something like that. I think it's being set up like that. I think whatever I've been given is pretty solid in my own mind anyways, what I believe. That the whole church world, part of the reason the Jew deception is so this false Messiah can come and they're all going to believe in him. I think I better end it. It's getting to past an hour again. That's all I got. Peace. Seek truth. See if these things be true.